just need y'all prayers. Need y'all to... I don't even know what to say.
The life of a man trying to escape the streets is never easy. One wrong move and the feds are ready to snatch everything away and throw him right back behind bars. But what happens when someone who's been feared and respected for decades manages to convince everyone he's gone clean?
In their case, the feds say he ran a mafia-like enterprise. He's accused of murder, kidnapping, embezzlement, robbery, and extortion. And that's just to name a few. Now, Big U claims he's innocent, but if he's convicted on these charges, he's facing the rest of his life in prison.
Only to be hiding something way darker behind that new image of success. Imagine a man who built himself up as an entrepreneur, a community leader, and even the former manager of stars like Nipsy Hustle.
When I go to Chicago, I respect Chicago wholeheartedly. I check in. When I go to Atlanta, I check in. When I go places, I check in.
All while possibly keeping one foot in the shadows. Turns out he might have been playing the biggest game of deception the streets have ever seen. For years, he moved quiet, fooling the law, stacking millions, and building an empire that's now starting to shake apart. Because now it's looking like this high-ranking rolling 60s Crip didn't just stay under the radar. He might be connected to some deadly street business that's got investigators watching his every step.
Today, we're here to announce federal criminal charges against Eugene Henley Jr., a career criminal known as Big U.
Ishi Boy Luda here, and this is the downfall of LA's check-in kingpin, Big U. After rising as a top podcaster, internet figure, and one of Cali's most respected OGs, Eugene Big U Henley Jr. looked like he had the blueprint to success. He was running a nonprofit
who used his contacts and leadership role in the Crips criminal street gang, the entertainment industry, and a youth charity to further his own criminal enterprise, an enterprise engaged in murder, extortion, robbery, human trafficking, COVID fraud, and other felonies.
Making moves in the entertainment world and keeping both the streets and the industry watching his every move with respect, especially in LA's underworld. He first earned his name as a powerful member of the rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, but just when it seemed like he finally left that life behind, the feds came crashing in, ready to expose everything.
And I don't think nobody is safe. I know dudes right now from LA who are actual gang members who have been robbed for their jewelry, who real killers, like who really real killers. Like if he ever find out who did that, he gonna knock everybody down.
Accused of running what prosecutors describe as a mafia-style network, Big U is being painted as the man who used his power, connections, and long-standing reputation with the rolling 60s and other crews to pressure and intimidate businesses across LA. His name carried weight, and that influence might have been used in ways nobody expected.
There's been rumors that LA is probably one of the most dangerous places for rappers. Do you believe that's true?
Yeah, because, I mean, everybody be checking in.
Right before surrendering himself, Big U dropped a video online claiming he's completely innocent. He looked straight into the camera and said he had nothing to hide, even as the Rico charges came crashing down around him.
That's y'all favorite thing to do, check in with somebody that's gonna rob your stupid ass.
Right.
Yo, you think that guy, the guy that you don't know, mother?
This all ties into a massive federal sweep called Operation Drawdown, one of the biggest gang-related takedowns the feds have pulled in years. Along with Big U, 10 other alleged gang members and associates were arrested, charged with everything from drug trafficking and racketeering to conspiracy and weapons crimes.
In California got your back. The guy that got beef with other hoods and all this, you checking into that dude? Bro, just go to the hotel.
4 of them were already behind bars when the operation went down, showing just how deep this whole thing runs. But here's the twist. This isn't Big U's first dance with the law.
Get you something to eat. Go back to the hotel.
Do your business.
Go have some fun. Where shit is fun, why do you want to go over there?
Back in 1991, he was hit with charges for trying to rob an undercover officer of 33 pounds of cocaine and ended up serving 13 years behind bars. When he got out in 2004, it looked like he turned things around, promoting peace, mentoring youth, and working as a community activist against the same violence that once surrounded him.
First time I ever went to LA, I went out there to shoot the party video with her. But they knew what time I landed. They knew what hotel I was at before I landed. Listen, bro, the first time I go out there, so Fly with TIG, Fly was like, man, we gotta go pull up on Big U. So we going to Crenshaw High School, but then he got the football kids out there. So
Now, though, the feds claim that behind all that positive work, something darker was brewing. This latest investigation, reportedly in motion since 2021, suggests Big U might have still been tied to major criminal activity. U.S. Attorney Joseph McNally said the allegations in the complaint unsealed today reveal a criminal enterprise involved in murder, extortion, and human trafficking.
So my mind fucked up. It's my first time going out there. He was like, yeah, man, we knew what time you landed. I was like, oh yeah, this shit dip. He was like, yeah, you in the hotel room, then what's called get your bag, that's your driver. I was like, oh yeah, this shit dip. So at the same time, I said that to say, that checking in should be real. I ain't paid no money. All he wanted me to do was just take pictures with the kids, the football kids. There be little shit like that. Like niggas be thinking check in, oh, you got to pay. They just want you to show the community like you're still able to be reached.
Federal prosecutors are calling it pure fraud, a web of crimes supposedly led by a man who claimed to be an anti-gang activist and music executive, but who they say was actually running things like a violent street boss. Among the wildest accusations, that athletes, rappers, and industry figures were being told they had to check in with Big U whenever they came to LA, just to make sure they stayed safe. Big U even talked about the whole check-in culture on his own podcast, and people thought he was just keeping it real. But now it sounds way more serious.
What about Wiz?
Oh, Wiz Khalifa. Now that right there is one of my nephews. Yes, sir. A phenomenal brain. I think people don't give Wiz the credit he deserves for how smart and intelligent he is. He has donated for the last, 5 years? He has donated every year to the organization. I think he gave us.
Turns out this secret wasn't really a secret at all. A throwback clip of Schoolboy Q has resurfaced, and in it he seemed to hint that Big U was the guy everyone, sometimes foolishly, trusted to keep them safe in the city.
So $25,000 last year for the football organization. In the terms of we bought football jerseys, uniforms. He paid for our field. He's performed 2 times for us a year for the football program. By far, he's done far more for the Crenshaw community than any person up to date.
It's like everyone knew who ran things, but nobody dared to say it out loud. And it didn't stop there. Rappers like Rich Homie Quan have spoken about how wild it felt trying to move around LA without the right connections, hinting that there were unspoken rules you had to follow. But Big U's influence wasn't limited to the streets or the rap scene. It went way beyond that.
Did you put your hands on me?
Never even seen you.
You bully? You's a bully.
I think you're bullying.
Put your hands on me? Niggas a bully. Did you lock me in the spot?
I think you're bullying right now.
No, did you lock me in the spot?
I think can you call the police?
Yeah, call the police. Call them now. So I can press charges for what you did to me.
According to federal documents, even NBA players and Hollywood celebrities allegedly had to go through Henley's Circle to get approval or protection before showing up at certain LA events.
And so what happened, one of my partners was on the run for 12 years. And the bus that we used was a part of the investigation. So when he was getting married, I talk about it now because he already turned himself in. So when he was getting married,
his network supposedly reached deep into entertainment, sports, and the streets, blurring every line in between. We're talking everything from parties and gambling nights to music video shoots and ad campaigns.
I told him, man, let me use your mobile home. So we turned around and went to Sony and told Sony we got transportation. We can get on the Game tour. Because that's when we did the song with Nip and Game. It was called How We Roll. I think it was something like How We Roll. I remember that shit. The song started picking up, so Sony's like, okay, we're gonna put you on the tour.
According to reports, celebrities and athletes had to either get approval or pay Big U directly if they wanted to move freely through LA's scene or risk facing serious retaliation from his network. And apparently, when anyone ignored those rules, there were always consequences. Take this wild example.
Told me that you and John Wall was playing dice one time, and you caught that nigga for like 3 M's. They told me you beat John Wall in dice one time for millions. Is that fact or fiction? Because this is a reliable source that told me this too.
Listen.
This is a real nigga that told me this.
Listen.
Paperwork claims that when former boxing champ Adrian Broner didn't check in and ended up winning millions from NBA players during what's described as rigged dice games, Big U allegedly sent word for his people to rough Broner up and get the money back. Multiple members tied to the Rolling 60s Crips supposedly pulled up.
Listen, it's truth to that, but it was dice and cards.
Oh, so it was a whole day of just... A day in like...
It was dice and cards. And the crazy thing is John Wall is my guy. That's like my guy.
So all right, hold on.
I ain't really trying to go into that, but But that was just some friendly gambler. It gets serious, but you got to think these two niggas
ready to apply pressure on Bronner to return the winnings on behalf of the cheated players. One unnamed witness reportedly testified that Big U had control over any high-stakes dice games, parties, or events involving celebrities and big money.
with these two niggas that got the money that gamble. So it can be $250,000 a game, $1 million a game. Like, you know what I mean?
And it get there.
It get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's all friendly.
Right.
It's all friendly. It's just sometimes it get like that.
Nothing moved without his green light, not because he cared about keeping things fair, but because he allegedly wanted his own cut. The feds claim he tried to charge a $100,000 fee for the safe return of that lost money. Pure street-style tax. And while Big U hasn't directly spoken on this specific story, comments from Bronner himself seem to back up that something big definitely went down. But this wasn't just about street power. Big U also had deep roots in the entertainment world. He's been linked to Mike Epps, Ving Rhames, and rapper Corrupt, and he even had connections with Snoop Dogg, Daz Dillinger, and other members of Thaw Dog Pound. His reach stretched across both the block and Hollywood.
So Sony give us like 90 bands. So then we cake 20 off the top, me, Steve, and Nip. And we got 70. The homie like, shit, you ain't gotta give me nothing, just get it registered and get the insurance on it.
He was such a larger-than-life figure that even actor Tom Tiny Lister Jr. once admitted that his iconic Debo character from Friday was inspired by none other than Big U himself, a real-life powerhouse who made the streets of LA move on his command.
Little did we know, once we re-registered it, it put it back on the hot list.
Oh.
But he been on the run 12 years. I only been home 3.
To both his friends and enemies, Big U's power went way beyond anything you'd see in a movie. People didn't just respect him, they feared him. If you had to compare his role in hip-hop, he wasn't just a boss, he was the Godfather of LA rap. Even Wiz Khalifa once said, "You can't do nothing without consulting him. He's the only guy who moves how he moves." That says everything. Wiz made sure to stay tight with Big U.
I pulled that from Big U. I used him as my background of how I wanted this character to be perceived. Because the whole thing about how bad this guy was is when Ice Cube pulled the gun on him, he said, "What you gonna do with that? Besides make me mad." That was cold-blooded. That was it for me.
Donating to his community projects, showing public support, and keeping that connection alive because in Los Angeles, that bond meant protection.
When he did that, my colleagues, this is a corporate establishment. It's not a hood environment. It's not a trap house. This is my job, my salary job, and I brought you to the table. But you're coming in here and you're trying.
But now everything looks different. Every relationship Big U built is being reevaluated under a much darker light. Some people are saying Wiz been paying them taxes for a long time.
Bogart and knock me out the way when I brought you in. He did all that, and I closed out the meeting, and my colleagues rode with me, and he seen that. So I didn't talk to him anymore. A couple of days passed, or not even a couple of days, like a week passed, and Nipsey's calling me.
Calling it a quiet form of extortion disguised as respect. Federal agents claim Big U ran an operation fueled by fear, intimidation, and money flow so strong that even names like Shaquille O'Neal and Draymond Green got caught up donating to his causes. Though maybe not always by choice.
He's like, "Sis, where you at? Where you at, sis? I need the posters." I wasn't going over to the neighborhood, to the 6Os, because I was really busy. And I'm like, "Nip, I'ma come, but I can't come right now." He has Slauson T's shop on Slauson and Crenshaw at the time. So he's like, all right, I need the posters. Him and Fats is behind the counter. And I'm like, what's up, bro? And I'm talking to him. And as I'm talking to him, I get this eerie feeling. And then I hear
Investigators argue that Big U was a master at balancing two identities, the feared street boss and the respected community leader. He built his public image around being reformed, talking peace, helping kids, and giving back. But behind that positive mask, prosecutors say he was keeping his enterprise alive.
Slam, clack, clack. And I realized I was set up. And so...
What do you mean a slam, clack, clack?
The door slammed.
Okay.
When I turned around, Big U was there and another guy, and he just slapped me. And I grabbed my face and I'm like, "What you slapped me for?" And he was like, "Gonna embarrass me in the meeting." And then he just jumped on me. Looked at Nipsey, and him and Fats just put...
One that blurred the line between charity and control. One of the biggest pieces of that legit image came from his work as a music manager, especially his ties to Nipsy Hustle, the pride of Slauson Avenue. Their partnership helped shape the new generation of LA rap. But now, as Big U faces allegations linked to the death of another one of his former artists in the Rico case, people are starting to question everything.
They head down, and I just was like, you set me up, like I trusted you, and you set me up, had me walk into this spot for this man to beat on me, and I'm pregnant. I get
How far?
mad. I'm sorry, I don't even want to, I get so mad about this Husha. I get very upset.
Hey, Jasmine, can you bring some tissue, please?
Fans are revisiting his complicated history with Nipsey, their bond, their fallout, and the way Big U reacted after Nipsey's tragic passing. And suddenly, whispers are spreading again.
Especially if you come from LA, or especially you come from the streets in general. And, you know, you got a lot of people that feel entitled to your success on their time frame. Because a lot of times in my situation, I had plans to do for a lot of people that are healthy, but it just wasn't on their time frame. And I've never been one to speak about what I'm gonna do, especially if it's something generous. I don't feel like you know what I'm saying, to broadcast that. You just do it. And a lot of times people...
Was there more to that story than we've been told? Because when it comes to Big U, nothing is ever as simple as it looks. As a Rolling 60s affiliate, Big U was a natural mentor for Nipsy Hustle when Nip first started chasing his dream.
Be like, damn, it been a year. He been on for a year. I ain't got nothing yet. You know what I'm saying? Fuck this nigga. He ain't, you know what I'm saying? He Hollywood. He ain't doing nothing for me. When, you know, and it's an understanding on my side too. You have to understand what's going on with the way people looking at you.
Disillusioned with his former team, Nipsey claimed that he tried to rise above until he couldn't any longer.
You know, that's not the reality of the situation. You got responsibilities, you got priorities, you got bills, you got taxes. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to end up like Wesley Snipes or none of these other rappers. Sorry.
Back in those early grind years, Big U even gave Nipsey a place to stay. A real lifeline when Nip was just trying to find his footing in the game. At the time, the two were tight like family. So close that people around them claimed Nipsey would move on Big U's word without hesitation. But things started to shift once business and loyalty began to collide. That's where the story of SKG comes in. A woman who grew up around the rolling 60s scene, but managed to rise out of it, carving a lane for herself in the corporate world of radio. SKG wasn't just any name either. She had once been an artist under Death Row Records. She had history, experience, and ambition. She and Nipsey worked together for a while and got along, until Big U stepped into the picture. It all fell apart over a $500,000 community project that SKG was managing and later handed to Big U's company Developing Options.
You know, it's a process. You gotta, over time, hopefully you don't go to jail reacting emotionally in the process of involving into your success, or get, God forbid, anything. You know, we all know what can happen. The downfalls out here, but it's a art in surviving that transition.
But when Big U reportedly failed to follow through on several parts of the deal and the costs started spinning out of control, SKG and the radio station decided to take the project elsewhere. And that's when everything exploded. Witnesses claim Big U personally showed up at the station, furious, demanding answers and confrontation right there in the office. After that incident, things got even messier.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's, in my situation, in my scenario, it was more so like, don't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just that. Don't even react to the shit, to the negativity. Sometimes it'll knock on your door. Like, we got into it recently, we had an altercation, you know what I'm saying? It was a big we used to do business with. It was all over internet and all that.
Big U allegedly pushed a wedge between SKG and Nipsey, and soon after, SKG claimed that Nipsey, once her ally, had set her up on Big U's behalf. What started as a promising connection between music and community turned into a tense fallout filled with pressure, loyalty tests, and whispers that still linger in LA's underground to this day.
But the bottom line with that was, you know, it became a situation that couldn't be avoided. You know what I mean? It had to be addressed. But with me, 9 times out of 10, my reaction as a LA, as somebody that came up out here, somebody that with the bullshit at the end of the day, is to just go hard. But you can't do that. Because, you know what I'm saying, you want to live life in the direction of where you're going. And you want to, the person you're trying to become, you want to live like that.
The tension didn't end there. SKG kept trying to expose Big U for what she claimed really went down, but every time she tried to speak up, it somehow flipped back on her.
Justice for them.
Your boy would have been there like, yeah.
In one heated encounter, she was actually the one who ended up getting arrested. The situation showed just how deep Big U's connections ran and how dangerous it was to challenge his name. But even with all that chaos,
I swear to God, everybody that was doing this shit,
You did. You did. They waiting on the interview.
Big U stayed close to Nipsy Hustle as his manager. Their partnership lasted through ups, downs, and even a shared legal case that popped up while on tour with the game. It wasn't some violent charge, just another messy reminder that when you mix the streets with the industry, things can get complicated fast. As Nipsey's fame started to rise, cracks began to form between him and his old circle. The more success he earned, the more distance he put between himself and the people who once claimed to have built him up. Nipsey began speaking about unnamed former allies who couldn't handle his glow-up, the same ones who wanted control over his every move. He tried to stay positive, pushing forward with his vision, but the streets don't always let go that easy.
You know what I mean? Like, I know it looks, I wouldn't be right here doing all this first and foremost if I was co-conspirator number 4. Maybe Dirk wasn't talking to them about.
Hey, listen.
That's what I said. Listen.
Innocent
what if
until
he was
proven
like,
guilty.
man, don't book nothing in my name, bro, because y'all stay smoking and shit, then I can't go to the hotels.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Eventually, that quiet tension started showing up right in Nipsey's music. He dropped sharp bars that fans quickly connected to Big U and other OGs from the rolling 60s. In his track, You Don't Got a Clue, Nip rapped, "I'm busy getting rich, you think I'ma stop for you? Act like they're supposed to have control over what I do. I built this on my own and everybody knows it's true."
You understand what I'm saying? You just caught slipping. You know, that's how it is. You know what I mean? And you try your best not to be slipping. And if you have the means not to, why do it? You know what I mean? And it's just about, sometimes it's about.
Those lines hit like a shot. Bold, direct, and impossible to ignore. For someone like Big U, who guarded his reputation like gold, those lyrics didn't sit well.
Respecting, yourself and then trying to get home. So, I mean, I hear a lot of back and forth on that, but I mean, I don't know that it's a perfect answer other than me, myself, I check in.
Word spread fast that he was furious, demanding that Nip be checked for disrespect. And that's when the now infamous story involving Whack 100 and Big U started to circulate, a story that would send shockwaves through LA's hip-hop scene.
Homie, they killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie, they killed Nipsy Hustle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it. Big U hit Nip daddy across the head with a bat. His brother had to come out and shoot the gun. Hey, y'all get out. Say, Nip, come on, nigga, we finna come beat you because I don't wanna pay that $20,000. You say it's over this equipment, but the white...
According to Loose Cannon, who was once Big U's right-hand man, things hit a breaking point when Nipsey's brother, Black Sam, jumped in to defend him. Rumor has it that Big U tried to square up with Nipsey during an argument, but Nip was too quick, dodging every move from the older OG. The scene got tense fast, and just when it seemed like things were calming down, everything flipped again.
Folks is pulling me away from the set. I met a Jewish white boy on the front row at the Los Angeles Lakers ball game. Me and this white boy getting drunk, we started talking business idea. This white boy see I'm a sharp nigga. This white boy pulled me into business ventures, the vector sector, right? So now I'm being expanded, but now they pulling me away from the set. The set have made it known nobody's bigger than the set. Nobody's bigger than the program.
In the middle of the chaos, Black Sam got arrested, and the timing raised a lot of eyebrows. Loose Cannon later claimed that the police showed up way too fast, almost like somebody tipped them off. He straight up suggested that Big U might have had ties with law enforcement, something that only added more mystery and suspicion to the already messy situation.
So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. So I'm like, sick, so I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey answered. He answered the phone and I was like, I love you, cuz, or whatever like that.
Did you tell him the call you just got? Or you didn't even mention it?
The very next day, Nipsey bailed his brother out and flew him straight out of LA on a private jet, trying to leave all that heat behind. For a brief moment, it looked like the brothers were finally free from all that street drama and ready to focus on the music, celebrating their success and planning what was next. But the peace didn't last long. As Nipsey's career skyrocketed, Big U remained a shadow over everything, always lingering in the background.
And mention it. And that's what fucked me up because my cousin is Nipsey baby mama. You get what I'm saying? So it was like I could have probably stopped it, or it had it.
Stop what? You mean that? You talking about?
No, because listen. So after I talked to Nipsey and I was like, "Yeah, I love you, cuz," or whatever like that. I'll see you later or whatever. So I hung up the phone. I thought Big U gave wrong information.
Black Sam would later admit that they had to constantly protect their crew and business from that whole check-in culture, the so-called friendly extortion that came with trying to shoot music videos or host events in certain parts of LA. One example, when they filmed the Higher video in Compton, they had to move cautiously, knowing how that kind of move might irritate Big U, and it definitely did. Sadly, that same video wouldn't even be released until after Nipsey Hussle's tragic death on March 31st, 2019, while the official story says that Eric Holder, another Rolling 60s member, took Nipsey's life after a heated argument over snitch rumors. Many fans and insiders still whisper that the truth behind that day might be way deeper than anyone's willing to admit.
Y'all remember a couple of days ago when I mentioned that case where the kid, the football player, you know, it was Big U's son's best friend, played on the football team, who was living with Big U, was killed. And they were saying that Big U didn't show up to the funeral.
Not everyone's buying the official story, especially since Nipsey and Big U never made peace before Nip's death. To this day, a lot of people online claim there's way more to the story. Some even go as far as saying Big U might have played a role in setting things up, pointing to his influence, connections, and the way people in LA move around him. If you want to understand how deep his power runs, just watch how LA insiders like AD and T-Rel handled it. When they asked Big U about Nipsey during interviews, their body language said it all. They didn't push him, didn't challenge him, almost like they knew better than to go too far. But the audience didn't hold back. Many online voices claimed that Big U had nothing to lose and everything to gain from Nipsey's passing. Fans started revisiting his interviews saying, Big U wasn't getting this kind of attention when Nip was alive. Now he's everywhere. Others pointed to that infamous Instagram Live moment where Big U read a comment saying justice for Nip.
Never contact the mother for any type of support, anything. Just block her and everything, right? It was just like, damn, bro, like you always say if you know anything about these gang murders to give you the information. But when the football player is the best friend of your son who was living with you turns up dead, you don't want nothing to do with nothing, right?
Looked over at his homie and started laughing. People called it disrespectful, saying he was mocking Nip's legacy just to stay relevant. And yes, that clip is real and it spread like wildfire online. Still, Big U's defenders argue that people are twisting things, while his critics think the truth is right there in plain sight. The debate just keeps growing, and the tension around Big U's name hasn't cooled off one bit. Even outspoken figures like Charleston White have chimed in, saying he believes gang politics played a direct role in Nipsey's downfall. According to Charleston, once Nip started to rise above his old life,
the homie Shitty double back 3 times. You get what I'm saying? And first he shot him, boom, go into the alley, came back and shot him, boom. It wasn't good enough. And then he came back and he shot him again. But now it's like
how did he know?
Yeah, no, but
that's crazy.
It's deep. So it's like, I don't know who to trust.
Now let me ask you a question. I heard this. I don't know how true it is. I heard that Shitty
becoming bigger, richer, and more respected, it created jealousy among people who once saw themselves as his superiors. He claimed that Nipsey's refusal to fall in line or keep paying dues to the streets made him a target in his own neighborhood.
And Nipsey had a fight.
Yeah, they had
they
had a fight like a week before that. When they had a fight, you know, Shitty ain't known for fighting.
Yeah, not at all.
He known
not
for doing the other things. So at the end of the day, it's like Nipsey beat him up. Nipsey is what's like 6'4", 6'5". Shitty is like 5'5", 5'6". You get what I'm saying? Like frails. Like,
but as damning as this seems.
So while the streets say one thing and the feds say another, the question still echoes through LA. Was Nipsey's success his blessing or the thing that sealed his fate? Charleston White might not be tied to the rolling 60s, but even people from inside that world have started whispering that Big U knew way more about Nipsey's death than he ever admitted.
At the time, I think Takeoff had got killed. So yeah, I contacted Houston Police Department. Then I contacted LA County Police Department as well as the FBI. because I wanted to be documented, you know, just in case I run across a brick baby and I gotta shoot him or hurt him.
Okay,
so yeah, I was setting the stage for a self-defense case.
The speculation got so wild that the No Jumper podcast quietly deleted a clip where Loose Cannon claimed Big U knew Nipsey would be killed before it even happened. That statement shook the internet. And even though the video disappeared, people had already clipped and shared it everywhere. But here's where things take an even darker turn.
So the news came out today, this morning. The mother said that Big U has been denying to give his DNA. So they had to send a warrant to get Big U's DNA. You want to take a wild guess whose DNA came back on his son? Big U, Eugene Miller's DNA came back on her son's fingernails.
As serious as those rumors sound, Nipsey's death isn't even the main case that might send Big U away for good. According to the new federal indictment, Big U is being accused of involvement in another murder, the killing of Rayan Williams, a former Crenshaw High football star and best friend of Big U's own son, Dan Henley, who now plays for the LA Chargers. In the paperwork, investigators refer to Rayan simply as RW. Just like with Nipsey, Rayan's relationship with Big U started off close and full of promise. He once lived with Big U and even signed to his label Unique Music, where he was supposed to be the next breakout artist. But somewhere along the line, everything went sideways. Reports say Big U sent Rayan to Las Vegas to record at a high-end studio to kickstart his music career. But instead of progress, the trip allegedly sparked tension. Sources claim the falling out came after Rayan refused to cooperate with FBI agent Andrew Rusa, who was supposedly watching over Big U's network. Rusa later stated that Big U believed Rayan was wasting time and disrespecting the brand. Things allegedly got even worse when Rayan started dropping lyrics that some took as shots at Big U and his crew, which caused serious embarrassment in the streets. That tension, the indictment says, exploded into a fatal dispute. Another case that paints a hauntingly similar pattern to what people say happened with Nipsey. Once again, someone who was close to Big U, once under his wing, ends up gone, and the streets are left wondering if loyalty around him ever truly guaranteed safety. In LA, everyone knows dissing Big U is like lighting a match near gasoline. It can spark serious problems fast. That's exactly what reportedly happened with Rayan Williams. According to investigators, tension in the studio reached a breaking point after Rayan dropped lyrics that Big U took as straight disrespect. The argument got heated, and after that night, they supposedly went their separate ways. Rayan left to grab his things from his Airbnb, but just a few hours later, everything changed. Around 3 a.m., Big U allegedly showed back up at the studio, alone, and witnesses say he was soaked in sweat and visibly shaken. Then, only 6 hours later, Rayan's body was found dumped in a ditch. The details shocked everyone who knew him. Reports claim that after returning to the studio, Big U asked the staff to delete the surveillance footage from that night. According to FBI agent Andrew Rusa, that footage likely showed an altercation between Big U and Rayan, or at the very least would have captured both of them leaving the studio together shortly before the killing. Since that night, Big U has reportedly kept his distance from Rayan's family, who've been pleading for answers ever since. Every time questions came his way, he either avoided them or brushed them off completely. Then came the bombshell. Investigators found DNA evidence under Rayan's fingernails that matched Big U's genetic profile. That placed him closer to the scene than he ever publicly admitted. The result was labeled inconclusive, but crucially, Big U couldn't be excluded. And with everything else piling up against him, even that partial match looks bad. To make things worse, people once loyal to Big U have started turning on him. Members tied to the same federal sweep, Operation Drawdown, have been talking for years, spilling info that's now resurfacing in the indictment. One of them is Loose Cannon, who gained attention online but is now locked up alongside Big U and others. He used to be Big U's close ally, but that friendship fell apart after a string of shady deals, including the alleged robbery of Meek Mill and extortion of Rick Ross. When the money from those moves didn't add up, Loose Cannon reportedly accused Big U of pocketing the profits himself. Now, with old allies flipping, evidence stacking, and street legends unraveling, it looks like the empire Big U spent decades building might finally be crumbling right in front of him. Even while behind bars, Loose Cannon kept stirring the pot, calling out his former boss Big U in interviews and jail calls. He's claimed again and again that Big U was tied to Nipsey's death, but that's not all. According to Loose, Big U allegedly handed out untraceable guns to Rolling 60s members, weapons with the serial numbers scratched off. Those are serious accusations, and every time he spoke, he seemed to dig the hole deeper for everyone involved. Before long, the feds tapped their phones, uncovering hours of conversations that painted a wild picture of what was really going on. ground, setting up plugs, running scams, and making careless moves that basically handed the evidence right to the agents. What's crazy is that the wiretaps weren't even the biggest problem, because Loose Cannon and others were already bragging online about crimes that could have gotten them indicted all on their own. People online couldn't believe it. One commenter summed it up best: "These have got to be some of the slowest criminals on planet Earth. They get on camera and tell it all." And honestly, that's not far from the truth. These guys were so comfortable being public figures that they didn't even realize the feds were watching every post, every live stream, every quote. And then there's Brick Baby, another figure tied into the chaos. Now a no-jumper host, Brick Baby is a self-proclaimed rolling 60s Crip who's been far from quiet about his street history. In fact, he first hit the feds' radar after threatening Charleston White online, saying he had a dime, meaning $10,000, on his head. That's not something you just say publicly without consequences, but he did anyway. Brick Baby's name has also been tied to another violent situation: the killing of Lil Pop, cousin of Quando Rondo, who was gunned down in what investigators called a revenge hit linked to Lil Durk's circle. According to reports, Lil Durk himself was said to be an unnamed fourth co-conspirator in a related Rico case. Brick Baby initially denied having anything to do with it, but the way he talks about street politics online hasn't exactly helped his case. Between Loose Cannon's reckless calls, Brick Baby's online confessions, and the feds listening in on everything, it's no wonder this whole network is falling apart from the inside. Not everyone was buying Brick Baby's story, and honestly, how could they? It didn't take long for people to start calling out his wild contradictions and the way he kept switching up. One fan even said, "Brick Baby's out here doing damage control, but sometimes when you talk too much, you talk yourself straight into a life sentence." And that's exactly what seemed to happen. When Lil Durk's name came up, Brick Baby's whole energy shifted. Suddenly he got nervous, dodging questions, but then went right back online, posting and saying things that sounded straight up incriminating. It was like he couldn't help himself. Even though he already knew he was on law enforcement's radar, he kept running his mouth, claiming that he'd been watched for months. Then came the biggest red flag, his track Not Enough. In that song, Brick Baby dropped bars that sounded like he was admitting to a murder-for-hire plot. He rapped, "Last one, we turned into a pack. We got 1 million plus," and fans instantly started connecting the dots. It was cryptic but bold, and it matched up with other street rumors floating around LA. Even Biggie's old lyrics seemed to mirror that same energy. But for Brick Baby, this wasn't fiction. This was fuel for a case already building against him. Now Brick Baby's sitting behind bars, and most of LA's podcast scene has completely turned on him. Instead of sympathy, he's getting laughed at, with people saying he basically snitched on himself in real time. The more he tried to defend his name, the worse it got. His own words became the Fed's best evidence. And here's the craziest twist. Those same LA podcasts that hyped up the drama and beef, the indictment says the feds were monitoring them nonstop in the weeks before their big takedown. Every live stream, every off-the-record story, every supposed secret conversation, all recorded, transcribed, and stored as evidence. Turns out the loudest voices in the room weren't just entertaining viewers, they were giving the feds everything they needed on a silver platter. It's sad but true. A lot of the guys now locked up, like Loose Cannon and Brick Baby, became addicted to the content cycle. They couldn't stop chasing views, attention, and clout, even when they were basically predicting their own downfall in real time. Instead of moving in silence, they went live, made wild claims, and bragged about street politics while the whole world and the feds watched every second. Loose Cannon still hasn't slowed down either. He's been calling into podcasts straight from jail, keeping his name alive like he's still part of the show. Every call turns into a headline. Every quote gets clipped and reposted. It's like he doesn't realize those same clips could be used against him in court. Meanwhile, the people who've built platforms around this chaos, like Adam22, aren't exactly owning up to their role. No jumper has made a fortune off turning the streets into entertainment, giving these stories airtime and letting guests spill incriminating details like it's casual conversation. Sure, Adam22 claims he's just doing journalism, but critics say he's encouraging people to risk their freedom for viral moments. And it's not like the content's subtle either. Clips of Brick Baby yelling things like, "I got more murders than you got squabbles in the hood, homie," get millions of views overnight. That's the kind of content that makes money. But it's also what brings more heat to everyone involved. Even though Adam22 appears to be comfortable with how things are playing out, not everyone's convinced he's in the clear. Some insiders, including Roy, believe Adam could eventually get caught up himself, whether for the content he promotes or for knowing way more than he lets on. The streets may talk, but when the feds start listening, every mic becomes evidence. As for Big U, everything's pointing toward kingpin territory. The indictment paints him as the center of it all, the one everyone else connects back to. Every name, every move, every deal somehow circles back to him. And what's wild is how much the online content world has helped build those links even further, turning real-life chaos into non-stop viral headlines. For the feds, this case is the perfect storm. Street politics, music industry connections, and the internet all tangled together. Meanwhile, the rest of the hip-hop community is trying to figure out how to even talk about it. Because when it comes to Big U, there's still that mix of fear and respect. You can see it clear as day in the way certain voices suddenly go quiet when his name comes up. The footage that's been floating around since Big U turned himself in says it all. In one old clip, Draco the Ruler sits with loose cannon and talks about how dangerous the spotlight can be, how being too visible makes you a walking target. And then, out of nowhere, Big U himself pulls up calm, but with that same cold energy that's followed him for decades. It's a reminder of how fast things can flip when you're living between fame and the streets. Now, with these Rico charges stacking up, everyone's wondering who's gonna stay solid and who's gonna fold. Because when you're staring down life-changing sentences, that talk about loyalty tends to disappear real quick. Whispers are already flying that Brick Baby might be talking, especially after a recent Clubhouse chat where Whack 100 and a Rolling 60s member named 600, Christopher Lovejoy, suggested that Brick Baby already knew the feds were coming. They claim he even had inside info about a hot one out of town, something only someone deep in the loop would know. Then there's Whack himself joking about visiting what he called the coolest police precinct in the world, throwing shade while hinting that Big U's still pulling strings behind the scenes, even as everything around him crashes down. The streets are buzzing, the podcasts are running wild, and the feds, they're laser focused on tearing apart what they're now calling the Big U organization. And with Rico cases becoming a regular headline in hip-hop, this one might be the biggest yet. Maybe, just maybe, it'll finally pull back the curtain on the check-in culture, the power games behind the fame, and the truth about what really went down with Nipsy Hustle. Long live Nipsey Hustle. The marathon continues. It's your boy Lua, and thanks for tuning in to today's breakdown. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.